Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Hannah if you're new here, and yes, I did get new glasses. I like them. I have a confession. And I'm genuinely embarrassed about this, and that is I looked at all of the books I've read this year. We're getting close to the end of the year. I'm looking at my goals, trying to figure out where I need to pivot, where I need to adjust to meet those end of year deadlines for my reading goals. And I found in all of the books I've read, about 168 books this year, I've read no works by Indigenous authors. And that is a shame. I am ashamed by that. I have made it a goal to read more works by people of color, by Black writers in general, but I found that I just haven't been picking up books by Indigenous creators, and that is going to change. So in this vlog, I'm going to be reading books solely written by Indigenous authors. I'm also really excited because I have plans this weekend to go to an Indigenous owned and Indigenous run bookstore in Minneapolis. It's called Birch Bark Books. I would love to take you along with me to pick up and support some of these authors, as well as this indie bookstore. And we're gonna get into reading. I'm really amped up to read, and I'll let you know what I'm planning on reading next. So the first book on my radar, which is my worst nightmare, is Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones. Something about me is I am like deathly afraid of mannequins, mascots, anything in that realm. It just really freaks me out. So this book is literally a horror story about mannequins and like murder and killing and stuff like that. I read one chapter and it's not even creepy yet, and I'm already creeped out. Also have Winter Counts by, hold on, let me get this author's name right, David Heska Wanbli Weiden. And this is a thriller mystery about a man who lives on a reservation, and he kind of doles out vigilante justice because the cops don't care what happens to the Indigenous folks on the reservation. And there's a plot line that has to do with like drugs are coming into the reservation, and he's trying to figure out where they're coming from and how to stop them. So this is more of like a thriller mystery. And then the last book I have at this moment is This Place, 150 Years Retold by Kateri Akiwenzi Dam. And this is a graphic novel, and it's like little vignette, and I'm really excited about all of these. I'm terrified of Night of the Mannequins, but that is where we are starting with this vlog. Hopefully when I get over to Birch Bark Books, I can pick up another book for this vlog, but we will see if I can then finish it. My beverage of choice, my toasty warm beverage of choice. We're making some mulled spiced apple cider. Yum, yum, yum. Which is allspice, whole cloves, cinnamon, and nutmeg. I should not have been worried about Night of the Mannequins. The first two chapters, I was really vibing with it. I was actually getting kind of spooky, where my tummy was hurting because I was a little freaked out. But the horror in this book is not done by the mannequin. I don't want to spoil things, but it's human horror, not mannequin horror. Like the mannequin running around, like killing people. That's not what this is. So I'm almost done with it, but this is not what you think it is. It wasn't that good. I didn't really enjoy it. I was kind of expecting more horror, and there was like some horrifying elements, but it wasn't the kind of horror that I was hoping for. That sounds bad, but like it wasn't what I was expecting in terms of the horror. So it just wasn't for me. Not this one. This is my second Stephen Graham Jones book or story. I read Mapping the Interior by this author as well, and also didn't really enjoy that one either, so maybe I should read one of their full-length novels. Let me know if you have any recommendations for this author. By the way, it's 7 o'clock. Look at how dark it is. I mean, fall and winter is very cozy for reading, but it is really bad for vlogging, to be honest. Good morning, everyone. It is obviously the next day. I am packing up my bag to go to work because I'm running late. The reason I'm running late is because my tummy hurts. What else is new? But guess what happened last night? Oh yeah? You thought it was fall? This is fall in Minnesota. You know, it was 80 degrees 2 days ago. It was 40 degrees yesterday, and today it's snowing. Anyway, quick reading update. I just read 20% of Winter Counts last night. We're really just starting to understand the main plot. We're going to introduce the characters and the kind of the reservation life. And now he's going to Colorado to bust this guy's ass for bringing in drugs into the reservation. I am enjoying it so far. Good morning, everyone. It is Saturday. It is Adventure Day. And it is about 9 o'clock in the morning. The grand opening of the Black Garnet Books storefront is at noon to 5, and I want to get there early. I'd like to be there at noon. I want to show up right away, and then I have to scoot over to my piercing appointment to change out my jewelry at 1, but the piercing studio and the bookstore are only 5 minutes apart. Like, it's just down the road in St. Paul, so it's really close. And then after that, whenever that gets done, I can head over to Minneapolis and get some shopping done at Birch Bark Books, which is really hard to say. Reading update. I did finish Winter Counts, and I liked it. I did. It ended up being like a 3.5 star read for me, like still pretty good. The ending was pretty action-packed and exciting, but I was not necessarily disappointed, but it was just a lot slower paced throughout the whole book than I was anticipating. And like the tension, I didn't necessarily feel it throughout the book. There was a lot of tension in the last like 25% of the book that made it suspenseful and thrilling, but like the first 75% of the book, I was, you know, not necessarily feeling the tension and the suspense. But I did end up enjoying it. I thought the ending was solid and interesting and kind of had a twist in there, and yeah, I thought it was quite good. So I do recommend it if you're a fan of, you know, literary fiction, slow-paced thrillers. I think this was a good one. How does one show off an outfit with no full-length mirror? I've never had a full-length mirror in my life. But here's my makeup. I think it looks really cute, and whoever gave me permission to follow the line of my hooded eyes when doing eyeliner and actually slanting it down, I am now a force to be reckoned with. I freaking love doing my eyeliner this way. And I think this color is really flattering for my blue-gray eyes. Okay, hello. I've got a green kind of shirt, long sleeve, that's got some ribbing in it, and then that's tucked into some round pants with this very fall jacket, and then green boots. That's the outfit. Unfortunately, Birch Bark Books was really cramped and crowded, so I didn't do any footage in there because I already feel weird filming in public. And I wasn't about to pull out my camera and try to take some footage while also navigating the tight shelves. But it's such a lovely vibe in there. Everything is like on those like wooden shelves. It's very cozy. It's got creaky floors. It is completely inaccessible to wheelchair users. You know, it's got a couple steps up and then the floors are uneven, you know. But it is still a really good vibe in there. They have lots of books, not just Indigenous authors. Like they have dedicated sections for Native American Indigenous creators and authors, and then like artwork and gifts and stuff. But then they also have tons of other stuff there as well, like I don't know, lots of stuff. And I ended up getting a few books, and I got this hat because I'm desperate for a new beanie, and this one matched the red in my coat, and it says Birch Bark Bookhead, and I thought that was cute. So I will do a little mini haul when I get home, and then you'll see what I read next. Oh, hello, I'm back home, and I'm gonna do a little mini book haul to round out the day. First, I'm gonna talk about Black Garnet Books and what I was able to purchase there. So it was a delightful experience. The studio, or it's not a studio, the store was so cute. Even though it was under construction, it looked pretty darn good to me. The chairs were so funky and fun, and by the time I checked out, there was a line out the door from the checkout waiting to check out. It wasn't out the door, but like all the way up to the door of people who had wanting to buy books. And the rest of the bookstore was packed. Like the little clip I showed you was kind of right when I got there, which was 5 minutes before opening. And I left like 20-30 minutes later and it was full. So a really successful first day for the bookstore, and I'm really proud of the owner, and you should definitely check out, I have a little video talking about this bookstore. It is from a year ago, so keep that in mind, but it was a really good time, and let me show you what I got. So first of all, I got a couple of stickers, and they gave me some complimentary stickers as well. So I got I bought a large sticker of this little character who is reading a book, and it says Black Garnet Books. Obviously she's got the fist on her t-shirt and she's doing a peace sign, and they gave me a small one too for you know, a complimentary. So I'm gonna have to figure out a good place to put these guys. And I also bought a sticker that is a little bit more bookish. It's just a bag of books with the name of the store on there, and the little open book says, "We do this till we free us," and that is a quote from Miriam Kaba. And this art was done by Kevin Cannon, and I just think it's really cute. And then they gave me another sticker for free, which is a different character holding a book with the fist on his hoodie. This one was free. I also bought 2 pins because I don't have any buttons, and I decided to go for it. And one's a she/her pronoun rainbow pin, and this one says Invisible Illness Club, and so I really liked both of these. For books, I'm really pumped. I got the paperback copy of The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina by Zoraida Cordova, and this is a magical realism book about this family whose like matriarch passes away, but her will comes with like stipulations, and there's like a family curse happening. The hardcover version of this book is also beautiful, but they had the paperback and I was immediately sold. I've heard about this book quite a bit, and I finally pulled the trigger on it. The last thing I bought at Black Garnet was White Tears, Brown Scars, How White Feminism Betrays Women of Color by Ruby Hamad. This is a nonfiction about white feminism and how harmful it is. I've been meaning to pick this up for a while, and they had a copy in paperback, so I also picked up this guy as well. And look, they gave me a brown paper bag with the name of the shop on there, so I like brown paper versus plastic. And then I went and did my ear stuff, but that was a good $100 spent at the piercing studio at Electric Strawberry. It was a good time. I'm just gonna have to be a little bit more diligent with my piercing care. Got a little lax and she got angry at me. Then I drove over to Birch Bark Books. You saw I already bought the hat, but it is now in the wash. I just want to make sure it's clean. And then I bought some books. I'm so excited about these. I'm excited about all these books, but the first one that I literally squealed when I saw it was Love After the End, an anthology of two-spirit indigiqueer speculative fiction edited by Joshua Whitehead. This is exactly what it says. It's a anthology of short stories that are sci-fi fantasy / magical realism based about Indigenous people who are also queer, and by queer Indigenous authors. And I have been meaning to read this, but my library doesn't have it, and it's real short. So this might be something I pick up very, very soon, even maybe for this vlog. We'll see how it goes. And then I have a nonfiction called Apple Skin to the Core by Eric Gansworth. And I didn't know this, but apple is a racial slur against Indigenous folks, and I didn't know that, and so I was reading the back of this and reading what it was about, and I had never heard of that term before and it being used in that way, and so I'd like to, I guess it piqued my interest. I'd like to learn about that, and I've heard this is a pretty good nonfiction, even for like young readers. So I'm really excited about this. It also is pretty short, and it's written in an interesting style. So there are poetry sections, there's images. It's written kind of in little vignettes as well, little stories. So it kind of crosses the border between fiction and nonfiction a little bit. And I think that's a pretty common theme in Indigenous writers, playing with the reality and make-believe at the same time, and I think that's really cool. So really excited about this. Last book I have to talk about, I just saw it on a table and it was all by its lonesome, and so I picked it up because it looked a little spooky, and I read the back and I was immediately hooked, and that is The Hatak Witches by Devon A. Mihesuah. Let me read you, it's only like 2 sentences. A baffling museum murder that appears to be the work of twisted human killers results in an unexpected and violent confrontation with powerful shapeshifters for Choctaw detective Monique Bluehawk. Blending tribal beliefs and myths into a modern context, The Hatak Witches continues the storyline of Choctaw cosmology and cultural survivor that are prominent in Devon Mihesuah's award-winning novel, The Roads of My Relations. So this is like self-published or something, University of Arizona Press, but I looked into it and this only has like 100 reviews on Goodreads, and it looks spooky to me. It seems like a paranormal murder mystery that's steeped in modern day culture, but Indigenous folklore and culture as well. And this might be my next read too. I don't know what I'm gonna pick up next. I might have to try a sample of all of these, but look at this. This looks so cool. I love going to bookstores, and the one thing about being on the internet right, and following lots of book creators, is I get a lot of book recommendations, which is good, but some of my favorite books and favorite experiences is going to a bookstore and picking up a book I've never heard of, that I haven't seen anybody talk about, and picking it up and reading it and discovering something new for myself. I'm really excited. Hello, everyone. Good morning. It's almost afternoon. It is Sunday now, and I am going to be doing a reading check-in. I'm not feeling super great. I had kind of a rough night's sleep. My ear was actually really hurting, and I was trying so desperately to sleep on my left side and not the right side, and I'm a right side sleeper. Like, that's where I want to be, so I had a really hard time sleeping, but I really want this thing to heal, so I'm gonna have to just kind of power through it and sleep on my left, and only my left or my back. And it's a little rough. Last night I did manage to read the entirety of this graphic novel called This Place, 150 Years Retold, and this is an anthology of nonfiction, actually. It's about Canadian Indigenous folks and their stories throughout the past 150 years or so, and also it documents a few like policies enacted in Canada to restrict the rights of Indigenous folk and like take stuff away from them. So there's a little bit of like, here's this historical Indigenous person and their story of rebellion and resistance, and then along with that some actual facts about legislation that was passed. And it was really good. It was a variety of artists, a variety of writers, which I think was a good choice. I think just getting a wide variety of peoples from all over. It wasn't just one tribe that was represented in this book, it was all over Canada. Which I thought was really good. I loved most of the art. There were some short, sections of where the art was not my favorite, but for the most part, I loved all of the art in the book. And I ended up giving this like a 4.5 out of 5 stars. This was, I think, a really good way to take in some of this information. Obviously, I'm from America, and so I don't know a lot about Canadian legislation, politics, and especially not like what they've done to the native people there, because they suppress that knowledge. Same, just like they do in America, but I know a little bit more about the Indigenous folk of America than I do the Indigenous folk of Canada. So I'm really glad I was able to read this as an American and learn a little bit more, and I thought this was a great format. I also read one chapter of the Hatak Witches, which is a horror novel, and it was very spooky right away. I know it's going to be really good though, so I'm going to keep reading this. I just need to read it in the daylight hours. This is really good so far, but I definitely needed to read this during the day. I think that's what I'm going to do today. It has been several days. It's taken me a little bit to get through this, but I have finally finished the Hatak Witches. And unfortunately, I didn't end up liking this one very much either. There was, just on a basic level, pacing issues in this one, as well as some like kind of homophobic and definitely fat-phobic comments in this book. That were completely unnecessary and unrelated to the actual plot in any way. There was also a comment that the main detective of the story says about one of the forensic scientists has like tattoos and piercings, but he's still really smart. And I'm like, can we get over this like stereotype of people with tattoos and piercings being unprofessional and stupid? Like, also, that didn't need to be in the book at all. You could have just described the person and left it at that. So beyond those minor criticisms, this book, again, has had pacing issues. The horror in it was really good, but we only got bits and pieces of it, and you didn't feel the horror tension throughout the book because there was a lot of focus on the detective work in the museum that made this really, really slow, even though it's less than 300 pages. This was also like self-published or published at a small press, and there are actual typos, misspellings, errors, which normally I, don't bother me if I know it's been independently published or small press published. But it is something to note. The overall plot was interesting. The title is actually a spoiler. Like, you don't figure out that there are witches involved until almost 2/3 of the way into the book. So the detective is investigating, and you don't know who is involved until that point, and that's when the concept of witches is introduced. So it's like, and the concept of shapeshifters wasn't introduced until 75% into the book. So I wish the book had been more about the witches and confronting the witches throughout and trying to fight them off in like a prolonged conflict than 75% of the book is the detective running around the museum trying to figure out how this murder took place, and then 25%, like basically the climax to the end, them fighting the witches off and defeating them. I think I'm gonna give this like 2.5 stars. Like, with the really strange comments to the pacing, to the plotting of this book, it just didn't work for me, sadly. And I think I'm gonna end the vlog here. Actually, I'm planning on reading more books by Indigenous authors, but I think I'm just gonna finish the vlog here with those 4 books read. To recap, we read The Night of the Mannequins, which is a horror novella. I read Winter Counts, which is a thriller. I read The Hatak Witches, and I almost forgot the last one. The graphic novel This Place 150 Years Retold, which is the nonfiction graphic novel. So I read quite a bit. I'm going to continue this journey of reading more books by Indigenous authors, but thank you so much for watching if you made it to the end of this video, and I will see you in another video of mine very soon. Bye.